The gates close with a metallic clang, echoing down long, narrow corridors that seem to swallow every ounce of light. You can feel it before you see it, the oppressive weight of confinement, the silence that isn't really silence, and the unseen eyes watching every move. This is not your average correctional facility. This is a place where the most dangerous individuals in America are locked away, a fortress designed to break both body and spirit. Welcome to the heart of a prison few outsiders ever glimpse, a world of extreme security, unimaginable rules, and unspoken terror. Here, every footstep, every whispered conversation, every glance carries meaning. The walls themselves seem alive, absorbing anger, fear, and desperation, echoing it back 1,000 times over. Some prisoners will never leave. Some will change, but not in ways the outside world could understand. In this place, silence is a weapon, violence is routine, and freedom is nothing more than a memory for those inside. You may think you understand what prison life is like, based on movies, TV shows, or stories you've heard, but none of that comes close to this reality. In this fortress, inmates are not just locked behind steel doors. They are separated from the world, from each other, and sometimes even from themselves. Cells are designed to isolate, to control, to strip away the distractions of normal life until only survival remains. The routines are rigid, measured, and calculated to ensure there is no room for chaos. But the chaos always finds a way. Every detail is controlled: meals, showers, exercise, contact with the outside world. Every movement is logged. Every word is monitored. There is no privacy here, no comfort. And yet, even under this relentless structure, human nature persists. Tension simmers just beneath the surface, a powder keg waiting for the slightest spark. Fights erupt over the smallest slights. Alliances are forged and shattered in hours. Some prisoners plot, some endure silently, and others descend into despair or madness. This prison is not merely a place to punish. It is a world of its own, with its own rules, hierarchy, and dangers. Guards are trained to anticipate the unpredictable, yet the unpredictable always happens. Inmates are ranked by reputation, by the fear they instill, by their ability to manipulate or survive. Every day is a game, and only the clever, the ruthless, or the cautious make it through unscathed. What you are about to see, hear, and learn has been hidden for decades. The government wants the public to know that prisons are about justice and rehabilitation, but the reality inside these walls is far more complex. There are stories of survival, stories of brutality, and stories that will make you question everything you thought you knew about punishment and crime. Secrets are buried here, some intentionally, some by the nature of the inmates themselves. Each corridor, each cell, each steel door could tell a story if it could speak. And now, for the first time, we are opening the door to those stories. We are going beyond the headlines, beyond the sensational news reports, to reveal the human experiences, the extreme measures, and the shocking realities of life inside one of America's most notorious prisons. This is a place where silence is not peace, it is control, where fear is not occasional, it is constant, and where the outside world's understanding of crime and punishment meets its most extreme test. As we step inside, prepare yourself. The walls you see on TV, the concept of a Supermax facility, and the idea of dangerous inmates barely scratch the surface. Here, every day is a battle, not just against others, but against time, against isolation, against the mind itself. What we are about to uncover is shocking, it is raw, and it is a glimpse into a world most of us will thankfully never know firsthand. But it is also a world that exists, right now, in the heart of America. From the moment we enter, you will witness the strategies, the routines, and the survival instincts that govern every waking moment. You will see how inmates navigate extreme isolation, how control is maintained, and how the human mind adapts to environments designed to break it. This is not a story of simple crime and punishment. It is a story of human endurance, fear, strategy, and survival at its most extreme. What follows is a journey into secrecy, a glimpse behind the steel doors and concrete walls, and an uncovering of truths the outside world rarely sees. We will reveal how control is maintained, how prisoners cope, and how life unfolds when freedom is taken to its absolute limit. You will see the power of the environment itself, shaping behavior, influencing decisions, and forcing people to confront the darkest corners of their own humanity. This is not entertainment. This is reality, raw, unfiltered, and unnerving. The stories, images, and accounts you are about to witness have never been presented like this before. They are shocking, they are intense, and they are part of a system designed to contain the most dangerous among us, but also to test the boundaries of human behavior. So take a deep breath, step inside with caution, and prepare to experience what it truly means to live inside America's most dangerous prison, a world of silence, fear, and secrets that the authorities hope you never discover. What you are about to see will stay with you long after the screen goes dark. This is life behind the walls. And now it begins. Before we begin, tap like, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us uncover the darkest corners of the prison system. Now let's step inside. The first step inside America's most dangerous prison is overwhelming. It's not just the massive steel gates, the looming guard towers, or the high walls that make the facility terrifying. It's the feeling that time itself has slowed to a crawl, that every moment is measured, monitored, and calculated. The hallways are long, narrow, and sterile, the concrete walls gray and unyielding. There is almost no decoration, only signs, cameras, and the occasional flicker of fluorescent light buzzing overhead. The smell of disinfectant mixes with the faint, constant tang of metal and sweat, and it lingers in the air, marking the space as wholly uninviting. Inmates are moved with strict precision. Each step is guided by protocol. Guards march beside them, radios clipped to shoulders, eyes scanning constantly. Every gesture is noted, every word recorded, and any lapse in behavior can trigger immediate consequences. Here, mistakes are not forgiven. Even minor infractions, a raised voice, an untied shoe, a glance in the wrong direction, can result in confinement to a solitary cell or even more severe punishment. The structure is designed to enforce control, but it also reveals the human struggle, a mind constantly calculating, a body perpetually tense, a spirit that learns to survive under extreme constraints. Solitary confinement is the ultimate form of control in this prison. Cells are small, often no larger than a walk-in closet, with a single bed, a stainless steel toilet, and a tiny sink. The walls are bare, unyielding, and the only light comes from a harsh, unblinking fixture overhead. Inmates in these cells spend up to 23 hours a day isolated from the outside world and even from their fellow prisoners. Time drags endlessly. Days, weeks, and sometimes months blur into one another. Without human interaction, the mind can play tricks, magnifying every noise, every shadow, every distant echo. Some inmates develop coping mechanisms, mental exercises, strict routines, or self-reflection. But even the strongest minds are tested here. Meals are delivered through small slots in the cell doors. They are efficient, standardized, and nutritionally calculated, but they are also a reflection of the sterile, depersonalized nature of life inside. A tray of food might seem simple, a piece of meat, some vegetables, a serving of starch. But for an inmate, this is not just sustenance. It is a brief reprieve, a small moment of normalcy in a life that is otherwise dictated by rules, isolation, and observation. Even in these mundane moments, tension lingers. The clatter of trays being delivered, the smell of food, and the knowledge that guards are always watching creates an atmosphere where even eating becomes a controlled activity. Interactions between inmates are limited and carefully monitored. Outside of the solitary cells, prisoners might have opportunities for limited movement, a short period in a common area, limited exercise in a secured yard, or supervised work assignments. These moments are rare, brief, and tightly controlled. Even in a common area, the hierarchy of inmates is palpable. Reputation dictates behavior. Fear is a currency. Alliances form quickly but are fragile, often breaking down over minor disputes. Violence can erupt in seconds, transforming even the most structured environment into chaos. Guards intervene promptly, but the psychological impact on inmates remains long after the incident. One of the most insidious aspects of life here is the silence. It is not quiet. It is a controlled, oppressive stillness that serves as a constant reminder of isolation. Inmates learn quickly that noise is dangerous. It attracts attention, and attention can lead to punishment. Conversations are brief, whispered, and strategic. Every word is calculated. Trust is a rare commodity. Many prisoners keep their thoughts, fears, and plans to themselves, hiding even the smallest expressions of weakness or vulnerability. The psychological toll is immense. Anxiety, paranoia, and hypervigilance are common. Even when allowed to move freely, prisoners often feel trapped within invisible walls far beyond the steel and concrete that surround them. The guards, highly trained and vigilant, maintain the structure that allows the prison to function. Their presence is constant, almost omnipresent. They monitor cameras, conduct searches, and enforce rules with precision. But the interaction between guards and inmates is complex. Some guards are stern and unyielding, while others rely on observation and psychological insight to maintain control. Understanding inmate behavior becomes a critical skill. A gesture, a shift in posture, or a glance can reveal intentions, and anticipating them is essential to prevent conflicts. In this way, life inside the prison becomes a series of strategic moves and countermoves, a mental chess game where survival depends on understanding both the environment and the people within it. Education, rehabilitation, and therapy exist in limited forms, but they are often secondary to control and security. Inmates who attempt to participate in programs must navigate the same oppressive structure, where time is measured, movements are controlled, and freedom is severely restricted. Some find solace in learning or self-improvement, while others sink into despair or aggression. The extremes of human behavior are constantly on display here, and every decision has consequences. Security is layered and multifaceted. Multiple doors, checkpoints, cameras, and reinforced barriers ensure that no one moves without observation. Even the smallest access points are controlled. Every cell door, corridor, and yard is part of a system designed to prevent escape, but also to control behavior within the prison. Technology, procedure, and human observation work together to create an environment where control is absolute. For inmates, this can feel suffocating. Yet, it also creates an arena where human psychology, resilience, and adaptation are tested daily. In this prison, the mundane becomes extraordinary. Simple actions, standing in line, eating a meal, taking a shower, are fraught with risk, strategy, and consequence. Every moment is a decision. Every glance, every word, every step is significant. Life is measured not by days or months, but by survival, control, and mental endurance. Inmates must constantly assess risks, gauge intentions, and navigate an environment designed to test the limits of human behavior. Stories of violence, manipulation, and survival are everywhere. Some prisoners have spent decades within these walls, adapting to the extreme routines and mastering the complex social hierarchies that govern interactions. Others struggle, succumbing to the pressure of isolation, intimidation, and psychological strain. The prison is a microcosm of extremes, revealing both the darkest aspects of human nature and the remarkable capacity for endurance, strategy, and adaptation. As we begin to explore this facility, we will witness routines, strategies, and behaviors that are both shocking and revealing. From solitary confinement to group dynamics, from meals to recreation, and from punishment to moments of fleeting reprieve, life inside this prison is a continuous test of human resilience. It is a place where fear is constant, control is absolute, and the mind is both prisoner and prisoner's tool. No story, no report, no film can truly capture the intensity, fear, and psychological complexity of life inside America's most dangerous prison. But through careful observation, interviews, and access, we can begin to understand how individuals survive. Inside America's most dangerous prison, life is not just about confinement. It is about survival. Every decision, every movement, every word, and every glance carries weight. For the inmates, understanding the rules of this extreme world is not optional, it is essential. This is a place where survival depends as much on mental strategy as it does on physical toughness, where understanding the hierarchy and predicting behavior can mean the difference between life and death. From the moment inmates are processed into the prison, they are assessed. Guards, psychologists, and correctional officers evaluate them for risk, potential for violence, susceptibility to manipulation, and ability to comply with the extreme routines. Those deemed high risk are placed under maximum observation, sometimes isolated entirely. Those who seem less dangerous are given slightly more freedom, but even minor freedoms are carefully monitored and structured. No one is truly free here. Each inmate exists under constant surveillance, yet each must navigate the invisible currents of power, respect, and fear among their peers. Inmates quickly learn that reputation is everything. A single act of aggression, a calculated display of intelligence, or even the way one reacts to confrontation can define how others perceive them. Some use intimidation, demonstrating physical strength to assert dominance. Others rely on cunning, manipulating relationships, exploiting weaknesses, and carefully choosing alliances. Still others attempt to remain invisible, avoiding attention entirely, hoping to survive by blending into the shadows. Every approach carries risk. Missteps can trigger violence, loss of privileges, or severe disciplinary action. One inmate, who has spent over a decade within these walls, describes his first weeks as an initiation of fear. The first night, I couldn't sleep, he recalls. Every sound felt amplified. Every shadow felt alive. I watched, I listened, and I learned quickly. If I made a mistake, someone would let me know. His survival depended on observing patterns, understanding guards' routines, and identifying who posed a threat. He learned that patience was as valuable as strength. In this environment, hasty decisions often have consequences far beyond what one expects. Meals in the common area are more than nourishment. They are arenas for social strategy. Inmates watch each other closely, noting who sits with whom, who controls the flow of conversation, and who remains silent. Even small gestures, such as passing a tray too quickly or making eye contact, can spark tension or signal submission. Meals are brief, highly structured, and heavily monitored by guards. But for inmates, these few minutes become a critical window for gauging hierarchy and evaluating risk. Every action, from the way one eats to the direction one looks, can influence reputation. Recreation periods are similarly strategic. Prisoners are allowed limited time in the yard or exercise areas, but this is far from a free experience. Movements are controlled, and interactions are observed. In these spaces, alliances are tested, rivalries simmer, and power dynamics play out openly. Fights can break out over minor disputes, long-standing grudges, or perceived disrespect. Inmates are constantly calculating whom to trust, when to confront, when to avoid, and how to maintain a sense of control. Those who miscalculate often learn harsh lessons. Isolation remains one of the most extreme tools of control. Solitary confinement is not only a physical punishment, it is a psychological weapon. Extended periods of isolation can create paranoia, anxiety, and hallucinations. Yet, some inmates adapt in surprising ways. Mental discipline becomes essential. Strategies include maintaining strict daily routines, creating mental exercises, reciting memories, or even constructing imaginary worlds to occupy the mind. Those who cannot cope often struggle, succumbing to depression, fear, or rage. Solitary is a crucible for the mind, testing resilience, focus, and endurance. Communication between inmates is another complex element of survival. Despite heavy monitoring, prisoners develop covert methods to pass messages, share warnings, or form alliances. Notes may be passed subtly, gestures used as signals, and indirect language employed to avoid detection. Mastering this hidden language becomes a critical survival skill, allowing inmates to navigate social dynamics while minimizing risk from guards or rival prisoners. Violence is a constant reality. Not all conflicts are physical, but the threat is ever present. Some inmates carry grudges for years. Others seek to establish dominance quickly. The prison environment amplifies aggression because every interaction is filtered through the lens of survival. Fights are often strategic, used to assert control, defend reputation, or send a message. Guards are trained to intervene swiftly, but the psychological impact on those involved persists long after the immediate incident. The threat of violence keeps inmates alert, calculating, and constantly aware of their surroundings. Beyond physical and social survival, mental endurance is essential. Inmates must cope with long-term confinement, isolation, and the loss of freedom. Many turn to self-improvement, education, or religious practices as mechanisms to maintain sanity. Others focus on routines and discipline, using repetition and structure to stabilize their days. Mental health resources exist, but are limited, and the intensity of the environment often exacerbates anxiety, depression, or post-traumatic stress. Those who adapt successfully develop a heightened sense of awareness, resilience, and strategic thinking. The hierarchy within the prison is fluid but rigid at the same time. Older, more experienced inmates often control social dynamics, subtly dictating behavior and enforcing rules that exist outside official prison regulations. Newcomers must quickly learn these unofficial rules or face consequences. Respect is earned through calculated actions, displays of strength, or strategic alliances. Even those who attempt to remain invisible are not immune. They must navigate around the established power structures carefully, understanding the subtle signals of dominance and submission. Daily routines are strict and meticulously enforced. Wake-up, meals, exercise, work assignments, recreation, and lockdown periods are precisely timed. Deviations are met with immediate correction. Every interaction with guards is procedural and scrutinized. Yet, within these routines, inmates carve out small moments of autonomy, a whispered conversation, a secret plan, or a personal ritual. These small acts may seem insignificant, but in a world dominated by control and surveillance, they provide a sense of agency and help maintain mental stability. Work assignments inside the prison, though limited, serve multiple purposes. They are practical, keeping the facility operational, but they also function as psychological tools. Inmates who work may gain privileges, build alliances, or assert competence. Tasks range from maintenance, laundry, and kitchen duties to clerical or mechanical roles. Each assignment carries its own set of risks and strategies. Trustworthiness is essential, as mistakes can result in punishment or loss of privileges. Observing others' behavior during these assignments provides insight into hierarchy, personality, and potential threats. Education and rehabilitation programs exist, but participation is strategic. Some inmates genuinely seek self-improvement. Life inside America's most dangerous prison is a constant negotiation between order and chaos. Every day brings the potential for conflict, psychological strain, or unexpected crisis. The environment is extreme, and even routine actions can escalate quickly into danger. From the moment inmates wake, the day is a delicate balance between adhering to strict protocols and navigating the volatile social hierarchy that defines survival within these walls. The first hours of the morning are a test of vigilance. Lights snap on early, piercing through the darkness of the cell, signaling the start of the day. Inmates rise with precision, mindful that every movement is watched, every gesture recorded. The echo of metal doors opening and closing creates a rhythm that is both oppressive and unavoidable. In these moments, tension is palpable. Some inmates move quickly, anxious to complete their morning routines, while others linger, calculating, observing, and preparing for the interactions of the day ahead. Every glance can be interpreted as a challenge, every hesitation a weakness. Meals remain one of the most psychologically charged moments of the day. In the common dining areas, the prison's social hierarchy becomes immediately visible. Inmates position themselves strategically, choosing tables based on alliances, reputation, and perceived safety. A newcomer is scrutinized instantly. How they carry themselves, how they respond to interactions, how they assert or conceal strength. Fights can erupt in seconds over minor slights, spilled drinks, or misread intentions. Guards intervene, but the underlying tensions remain. Observing these dynamics is like watching a carefully choreographed battle, where social dominance, fear, and survival instincts intersect. Beyond the social dynamics, the prison itself imposes constant stress. Every cell, corridor, and door is designed to maintain control, but also to test mental endurance. Alarms, lockdowns, and unexpected searches are frequent, keeping inmates in a perpetual state of vigilance. These disruptions may seem small to outsiders, but to prisoners, they are reminders that autonomy is minimal and control is never fully theirs. Even experienced inmates must recalibrate constantly, adjusting behavior to anticipate both the guards' routines and the potential reactions of fellow prisoners. Incidents of violence, though carefully monitored, are a grim reality. Some prisoners specialize in aggression, asserting dominance to maintain reputation or intimidate rivals. Others rely on cunning, manipulating situations without resorting to direct confrontation. Yet, unpredictability is constant. A verbal argument can escalate into a fight. A minor insult can spark retaliation days later. Inmates must constantly calculate risks, reading intentions, body language, and past behaviors to navigate safely. Those who misjudge a situation can face serious injury, loss of privileges, or psychological trauma. Solitary confinement continues to play a central role in the prison's system of control. Inmates placed in isolation experience extreme sensory deprivation, minimal light, limited sound, and isolation from all social interaction. The psychological impact is profound. Many develop coping mechanisms, including strict routines, mental exercises, or visualization techniques to maintain focus. Others struggle, succumbing to paranoia, hallucinations, or profound anxiety. Solitary confinement is not just punishment. It is an environment designed to break and reshape the mind. It is a place where survival requires mental discipline as much as physical endurance. Work assignments, while limited, are another arena of both strategy and danger. Inmates who perform tasks such as kitchen duty, laundry, maintenance, or clerical work gain relative privileges, but also increased exposure. These tasks bring them into contact with more prisoners, creating opportunities for alliances or conflict. Mistakes can be costly. A dropped tray, a mismanaged task, or an overlooked detail can spark a confrontation or disciplinary action. Yet, the work provides structure, mental engagement, and a sense of agency in an otherwise rigid environment. Conflicts often arise from the smallest interactions. A glance at the wrong inmate, a misinterpreted comment, or a perceived act of disrespect can ignite tension. Inmates learn to navigate these minefields through observation, subtle gestures, and strategic silence. Some become adept at de-escalation, using humor, distraction, or negotiation to defuse potential violence. Others rely on intimidation, establishing dominance to maintain respect or safety. Every interaction is layered with meaning, and misreading even one cue can have serious consequences. Health and mental stability are ongoing challenges. Inmates face limited access to medical care, high-stress conditions, and the psychological effects of prolonged isolation. Anxiety, depression, and post-traumatic stress are common. Coping strategies vary widely. Some turn to religious or educational programs, some form personal routines, and others withdraw entirely. Guards and staff attempt to provide support, but the extreme nature of the prison environment often exacerbates challenges rather than alleviating them. The psychological landscape of the prison is as intense as the physical. Inmates learn to manage fear, stress, and unpredictability constantly. Sleep is often disrupted by environmental noise, personal stress, or anxiety over potential conflicts. Every night, prisoners reflect on the day's events, recalculating social dynamics, revising survival strategies, and anticipating what tomorrow may bring. The mental load is immense. Strategic thinking is not optional. It is a requirement for staying alive and maintaining one's place in the hierarchy. Security protocols add another layer of complexity. Surveillance cameras, controlled movements, regular checks, and strict regulations ensure that order is maintained. However, these measures also intensify psychological strain. The feeling of being watched constantly can amplify stress and paranoia, and even small infractions are punished swiftly. Guards are trained to anticipate problems, but inmates are equally trained to observe, adapt, and manipulate within these constraints. The result is a constant interplay between control and resistance, strategy and survival. Inmates also develop informal systems of communication. Secret notes, coded gestures, and indirect signals are common methods of sharing information without alerting staff. These methods allow inmates to maintain connections, warn allies of potential threats, or coordinate strategies. Such interactions require careful observation and precision. Any misstep can result in detection and punishment. The ingenuity required to maintain communication demonstrates the adaptability and resourcefulness of the human mind under extreme pressure. Incidents of severe violence, though rare, serve as stark reminders of the prison's dangers. Stabbings, assaults, and psychological attacks are calculated, often executed with premeditation. They are designed to maintain control, settle grudges, or send a message within the hierarchy. Witnessing or surviving such events leaves lasting psychological effects. Inmates must be constantly vigilant, maintaining awareness of not only their own behavior, but also the intentions of those around them. Survival depends on anticipating threats before they materialize and responding with both caution and strategy. Life in America's most dangerous prison is rarely predictable. While routines, rules, and surveillance dominate daily existence, the underlying tension is a constant pressure cooker, capable of exploding at any moment. Chapter 4 examines these high-risk incidents, the fights, manipulations, breakdowns, and rare attempts at escape, that reveal the most intense and extreme realities of prison life. Inmates live in a world where every day presents risks, both expected and unforeseen. A casual glance, a whispered comment, or a perceived slight can escalate into a full-blown confrontation. Conflicts arise not only from personal grudges, but also from struggles over hierarchy, territory, or respect. The prison operates like a carefully balanced ecosystem, where small disruptions can trigger major consequences. Even the most experienced inmates are never entirely safe from sudden violence or social upheaval. One of the most notorious forms of confrontation is cell-based violence. Although cells are designed for isolation and security, disputes still occur. Arguments over contraband, perceived disrespect, or past grievances can erupt quickly, leaving both parties vulnerable to injury. Guards monitor such conflicts with vigilance, but the nature of the environment ensures that tension is constant. Even minor incidents are instructive, revealing the complex psychological strategies inmates employ: intimidation, feigned compliance, alliances, and calculated aggression. In the prison yard, violence and strategic maneuvering are magnified. During exercise periods, inmates interact more freely than they do inside cells. These interactions allow rivalries to surface, alliances to form, and power structures to be reinforced. A fight might be physical, but often it is psychological. A series of gestures, stares, and verbal challenges designed to assert dominance or undermine another's reputation. Observing these dynamics provides a window into the social order that governs survival in this extreme environment. Escape attempts, though rare, are among the most intense moments within the prison. These events are meticulously planned by inmates, often over months or years, requiring deep knowledge of security routines, guard behaviors, and structural vulnerabilities. Even minor errors can result in immediate detection and severe consequences. Some attempts are thwarted at the planning stage, while others fail dramatically in execution, leaving inmates punished and humiliated, but also revealing their remarkable creativity and determination. These attempts highlight the constant struggle between confinement and the human drive for freedom. Contraband plays a central role in high-risk incidents. Despite strict monitoring, inmates continuously find ways to smuggle or create illicit items, from improvised tools to communication devices. Possession or discovery of contraband can lead to immediate punishment, but it also serves as a form of power within the social hierarchy. Some inmates use contraband to assert dominance, maintain alliances, or manipulate rivalries. These hidden economies demonstrate the adaptability and ingenuity required to survive within the prison's rigid structure. Mental and emotional strain often precipitate crises. Prolonged isolation, high tension, and constant surveillance exacerbate anxiety and paranoia. In some cases, inmates experience severe psychological breakdowns, leading to unpredictable behavior. Guards are trained to respond, but they also rely on observation and intuition to assess threats. Mental health interventions exist, but the extreme environment of the prison often limits their effectiveness. Inmates must develop coping mechanisms, including meditation, strict routines, or strategic social engagement, to manage the psychological pressure. Power struggles within inmate hierarchies frequently result in high-risk situations. A new inmate may challenge existing social norms, unintentionally provoking conflicts. Established prisoners may assert dominance through intimidation or calculated aggression. The consequences of these interactions are significant. Injuries, lockdowns, and shifts in social standing all result from miscalculations or deliberate actions. Guards must maintain order while allowing inmates to navigate the complexities of their social world, creating a delicate balance between control and intervention. Some incidents are the result of planning and cunning rather than brute force. Inmates may orchestrate distractions, mislead guards, or coordinate group actions to achieve strategic goals. These actions demonstrate the intelligence, patience, and adaptability required to survive in an environment where every move is scrutinized. Yet, the risks are immense. Discovery can lead to severe punishment, solitary confinement, or long-term loss of privileges. The stakes are high, reinforcing the extreme nature of daily life in this prison. Even routine activities can escalate into high-risk events. Meal delivery, recreation periods, and work assignments are carefully controlled, yet they are fraught with potential conflict. A tray of food, a misplaced tool, or a delayed activity can trigger arguments or violence. Inmates must navigate these situations with acute awareness and strategic thinking. The environment ensures that even mundane tasks carry weight, and every interaction is an opportunity for either advancement or setback. Staff interventions are a critical element in managing high-risk incidents. Correctional officers employ a combination of authority, observation, and strategic response to prevent escalation. They rely on experience and training to anticipate behaviors, de-escalate potential conflicts, and maintain the delicate balance of control. Inmates, in turn, learn to read the behavior of guards, predict responses, and exploit patterns to their advantage. This constant interplay of strategy and observation creates a tense, high-stakes environment. Isolation remains one of the most extreme forms of control during high-risk events. Inmates who threaten the safety of others or break critical rules may be confined for extended periods. Solitary confinement is designed not only to punish but also to remove potential triggers of conflict, stabilizing the environment. However, the psychological toll is significant. Inmates must employ mental strategies to survive, using routines, reflection, and imagination to maintain stability under extreme stress. Stories of violence and crisis often involve extreme ingenuity. Prisoners adapt to their environment in ways that are both shocking and revealing. Some construct elaborate systems of communication to coordinate strategies. Others use psychological insight to manipulate rivals or avoid detection. These adaptations highlight human resilience under extreme stress, demonstrating that survival in this prison requires intelligence, vigilance, and the ability to anticipate the unpredictable. Health and safety are constant concerns. Physical injuries from fights, accidents, or self-harm are ever present, and access to medical care is controlled and limited. Guards and medical staff intervene when necessary, but the environment ensures that risk is always present. Inmates develop strategies to mitigate danger, avoid attention, and navigate the risks of both social and structural hazards. Every decision carries consequences, and survival is dependent on foresight, adaptability, and caution. Incidents of extreme aggression reveal the tension between structure and human instinct. Surviving America's most dangerous prison is not only a matter of physical endurance. It is, above all, a test of the mind. By the time inmates reach the later stages of their sentences, they have learned to navigate the constant tension, isolation, and unpredictable social dynamics that define life behind these walls. Mental resilience becomes the most crucial survival skill, often more important than strength or aggression. This chapter explores the strategies inmates use to endure the unrelenting psychological pressures, maintain their sense of identity, and adapt to the extreme conditions of confinement. From the first day, inmates are confronted with sensory deprivation, relentless routine, and strict control over every aspect of their lives. Initially, this environment induces stress, anxiety, and confusion. The walls seem unyielding, the guards omnipresent, and every interaction laden with potential danger. Inmates must learn quickly how to preserve both physical safety and mental stability. Many develop structured routines, dividing their day into precise segments for exercise, hygiene, meals, reading, or solitary reflection. These routines provide a sense of predictability, which helps mitigate the psychological strain of extreme confinement. Isolation remains one of the most extreme challenges. In solitary confinement, inmates experience near-total sensory deprivation, minimal light, sound, and social interaction. Extended periods in these cells test the limits of human endurance. Some prisoners cope by creating mental exercises, visualizing complex scenarios, reciting memories, or planning future strategies. Others turn to self-reflection or meditation, creating internal routines to occupy their minds. The ability to maintain focus and mental clarity under these conditions separates those who adapt from those who succumb to despair. Psychological resilience is reinforced by understanding and navigating social hierarchies. Even in the rare moments when inmates interact with others, the social order is complex and constant. Alliances, rivalries, and subtle power struggles require careful observation and strategic thinking. Inmates learn to interpret gestures, tone, and timing, often using nonverbal communication to convey intentions or assess threats. For those who master this subtle social calculus, survival becomes more manageable. Those who fail, even in minor ways, risk isolation, loss of privileges, or exposure to violence. Inmates often use education and creative pursuits as coping mechanisms. Reading, writing, or studying provide mental stimulation and a temporary escape from the harsh realities of confinement. Some prisoners develop detailed plans for personal improvement or future reintegration into society, using structured mental exercises to maintain hope and a sense of purpose. These activities also create a framework for mental resilience, allowing inmates to measure progress, track goals, and maintain a sense of agency despite extreme restrictions. Physical activity is another critical tool for coping. Exercise helps relieve tension, maintain health, and provide a small measure of freedom. Inmates use gym time, yard periods, or improvised exercises in their cells to strengthen their bodies and manage stress. Physical activity becomes intertwined with mental strategy. Maintaining fitness is not only about health, but also about self-discipline, control, and psychological stability. The body and mind are inseparable in the fight for survival inside the prison. Communication, even when limited, plays a vital role in long-term adaptation. Inmates develop covert methods to exchange information, warnings, or emotional support. These subtle interactions, whether through gestures, coded messages, or indirect conversation, reinforce social bonds while minimizing exposure to detection. Maintaining connections with other inmates provides reassurance, social stability, and practical knowledge for navigating the environment safely. The ability to communicate strategically is a hallmark of long-term survival. Emotional regulation is a critical component of mental endurance. In a high-pressure environment where aggression, fear, and manipulation are omnipresent, inmates must learn to manage emotional responses carefully. Overreaction can provoke conflict, while passivity can be interpreted as weakness. Successful prisoners develop emotional intelligence, recognizing cues, predicting behavior, and responding in ways that preserve both safety and status. These strategies require practice, observation, and a deep understanding of human behavior under extreme conditions. Mental strategies for survival also include imaginative and cognitive exercises. Inmates may rehearse social interactions, visualize routines, or mentally map the prison's complex layout. They may practice negotiation, strategize responses to potential threats, or mentally simulate conflict scenarios. These exercises sharpen problem-solving skills, maintain cognitive flexibility, and provide a sense of control in an environment where freedom is severely limited. Mental agility becomes a lifeline, allowing inmates to anticipate risks and make strategic decisions. Sleep, often disrupted by noise, anxiety, or strict schedules, presents another challenge. Inmates develop routines to maximize rest while remaining alert to potential threats. Some use visualization techniques, deep breathing, or meditation to improve sleep quality. Others adapt by scheduling periods of light rest throughout the day. Maintaining adequate rest is crucial for both physical health and cognitive functioning, as fatigue can impair judgment and increase vulnerability to social and environmental stressors. Religious practice or spiritual reflection provides an additional coping mechanism for many inmates. Prayer, meditation, and contemplation help structure the day, reduce anxiety, and provide a sense of meaning. For some, faith becomes a stabilizing force, offering hope and perspective amid extreme isolation. Spiritual routines are integrated with other survival strategies, reinforcing discipline, focus, and resilience. Long-term confinement also forces inmates to confront psychological limits. Isolation, fear, and limited autonomy amplify anxiety and depression. Some develop obsessive routines or rituals to maintain stability. Others create imaginary structures or mental frameworks to organize time and maintain a sense of purpose. These adaptive behaviors demonstrate the remarkable plasticity of the human mind under prolonged stress. Inmates who cannot develop such strategies often experience deterioration in mental health, underscoring the extreme demands of life inside this prison. Health and nutrition play supporting roles in survival. Inmates rely on the limited resources provided by the facility, using available food and exercise to sustain physical and mental stamina. Even minor lapses, skipping meals, ignoring hygiene, or neglecting exercise, can increase vulnerability to stress, illness, and social manipulation. Maintaining personal health becomes a critical component of long-term strategy, blending physical endurance with mental fortitude. Adaptation to extreme confinement also involves acceptance of the environment. Inmates who survive long-term often reach a level of psychological accommodation, understanding the rules, routines, and limitations, and adjusting expectations accordingly. Frustration, anger, or despair. As we step back from the steel doors, the reinforced walls, and the tightly controlled corridors, the reality of life inside America's most dangerous prison becomes starkly clear. This is a world where every detail is designed to control behavior, where every movement is monitored, and where every interaction carries meaning far beyond what outsiders can imagine. It is a world of extremes, extremes of confinement, extremes of violence, and extremes of human endurance. Throughout this journey, we have witnessed the harsh routines that govern every moment of an inmate's life, from the rigid schedules of wake-up, meals, and exercise, to the constant surveillance and isolation that shape both behavior and psychology. We have explored the social hierarchies, the strategies for survival, and the high-stakes conflicts that erupt in moments of tension. We have seen how inmates adapt, strategize, and endure, demonstrating remarkable resilience and ingenuity under conditions most of us could never endure. Yet, beyond the walls, it is easy to forget the human stories that define this environment. Behind the faceless numbers and the headlines are individuals navigating fear, isolation, and uncertainty daily. Each inmate is managing not only the rules imposed by the prison, but also the pressures of a social ecosystem that tests their intelligence, patience, and emotional resilience. Every decision, every glance, every whisper is part of a constant calculation, an unending effort to maintain safety, dignity, and identity in a world designed to strip them away. The extremes of confinement create transformations, some visible and some hidden. Some inmates emerge with sharpened minds, heightened awareness, and extraordinary adaptability. Others bear the scars of psychological strain, the lingering effects of isolation, and the impact of violence endured or witnessed. Life inside this prison forces individuals to confront their own limits, to face the most intense pressures of human existence, and to adapt in ways that reveal the depths of both vulnerability and strength. We have seen the daily battles for survival, the constant vigilance required to navigate a landscape of potential danger, the clever strategies developed to communicate, cooperate, and defend oneself, and the mental exercises that sustain sanity in isolation. We have explored how inmates cope with fear, anxiety, and uncertainty, relying on routine, observation, and ingenuity to endure. Every day is a test, every interaction a challenge, and every moment an opportunity to survive or fail. The lessons of this prison extend beyond its walls. They reveal the extraordinary capacity of the human mind to adapt under extreme pressure, the subtle but critical role of social intelligence, and the unrelenting impact of environment on behavior. They also remind us of the costs, psychological, emotional, and social, of prolonged isolation and extreme confinement. For many inmates, these experiences shape the rest of their lives, altering perspectives, behaviors, and the very sense of self. Yet, amid the harshness, there is also a story of resilience. Inmates find ways to endure, to maintain control over their minds, and to navigate a world that offers almost no freedom. They develop strategies that reveal patience, observation, and calculated reasoning. They adapt to the routines, the hierarchy, and the dangers, transforming adversity into survival. Their stories are a testament to human endurance, to the ability to survive when every day feels like a test, and to the strength of the mind even in the most oppressive conditions. As we close this journey, it is clear that the most dangerous aspects of this prison are not just the physical barriers, the steel doors, or the armed guards. It is the mental and emotional challenge of existing in a world of extreme restriction, constant observation, and social complexity. Life here demands resilience, strategy, and psychological strength unlike anywhere else. It is a place where survival is both a science and an art, a place where human behavior is tested to its limits, and a place that few will ever fully comprehend. So as the gates close one last time, and we step back into the outside world, take a moment to reflect on what we have witnessed. The stories, the strategies, the struggles, and the resilience of those inside America's most dangerous prison reveal not just the harshness of confinement, but also the incredible capacity of the human spirit to endure, adapt, and survive. These are lessons in psychology, strategy, and resilience, lessons that extend far beyond the walls themselves. Thank you for joining us on this journey into a world most will never see firsthand. Life inside America's most dangerous prison is extreme, challenging, and, at times, incomprehensible. But it is also a story of human endurance, adaptation, and survival at its most intense. Thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe, and don't